We ask that you would please silence all electronic devices at this time. As a reminder, this is an outdoor ceremony. Please don appropriate military headgear and provide appropriate honors. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Director of Installation Management Command Training, Mr. William Kidd, welcome to the United States Army Garrison Fort Rucker Change of Command Ceremony. This morning, Colonel Miller will relinquish command of the United States Army Garrison Fort Rucker to Colonel Jeffrey Paulus. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony is Mr. William Kidd, Director, Installation Management Command Training. The Color Sergeant is Command Sergeant Major Gary J. Williams, Garrison Command Sergeant Major. Joining us from the Aviation Center of Excellence Command Team, Major General Claire Gill, Commanding General, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Dewar, Deputy to the Commanding General, Mrs. Dyla Cole, spouse of Brigadier General Kenneth Cole, Deputy Commanding General, Command Sergeant Major and Mrs. Kirk Coley, Command Sergeant Major of the Aviation Branch. Joining us from the Installation Management Command Team, Mr. and Mrs. William Kidd, Director, Installation Management Command Training. Joining us from the U.S. Army Garrison, Fort Rucker, Mr. and Mrs. John Watson, Deputy Garrison Commander. Other distinguished guests include the Honorable Bobby Borland, Mayor of Pinkard, Honorable William Cooper, Mayor of Enterprise, the Honorable Charles Schieffer, Mayor of New Brockton, Mr. Michael Schmitz, Civilian Aide to the Secretary of the Army, Emeritus, Mrs. Shannon Smith, Director of Constituent Services, Representative Barry Moore's office, and Brigadier General Retired Stanley Bedritis. In addition to these esteemed guests, we are pleased to have the family, friends, and associates of Colonel Miller and Colonel Paulus. We'd also like to extend a special welcome to the members of the Garrison and Fort Rucker workforce who have joined us for this event. Thank you for attending. The official party for today's ceremony is Mr. Kidd, Director, Installation Management Command Training, Colonel Miller, the outgoing Garrison Commander, and Colonel Paulus, the incoming Garrison Commander. At this time, Sergeant Michaela Walker, Garrison Boss President, is presenting Mrs. Molly Miller a bouquet of red roses. Red is the color of the heart and reflects the loving concern that she has shown for the soldiers and civilians of the Garrison and their families over the past 2 years. Colonel Miller's mother, Cheryl, and daughter Emma are also receiving bouquets of red roses. Specialist Kirsten Mesa, Garrison Chaplain Assistant, will now present Dr. Aaron Paulus a bouquet of yellow rosebuds. Yellow is the color of new beginnings and symbolizes her arrival as the First Lady of the United States Army Garrison Fort Rucker. The rosebuds will blossom over time, as will her relationship with the soldiers, civilians, and their families. Colonel Paulus's daughters, Josephine and Evelyn, are also receiving a single yellow rose. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for singing of our national anthem performed by Master Sergeant Jonathan Bray, 164 Theater Airfield Operations Group. Let us pray. Almighty God, to you we offer the lives of every professional man and woman within the Fort Rucker family. These warriors serve our nation through blood, sweat, and tears. Thank you for these indispensable warriors, and may their character and service be the foundation of our future. Today, we remember to you Colonel Miller for his service as Garrison Commander. His service and dedication are welcome. We ask for continued blessing upon his leadership and career as he transitions, and may the Miller family depart with abundant blessing and peace. We also lift to you our new commander, Colonel Paulus and family. We ask for successful integration into the Fort Rucker operation, grant rich blessings, and guide him with abundant wisdom to weather the storms of our mission. Grant a backbone of integrity as he guides our warriors as an exemplar model and mentor. And may the sacred leadership opportunity be accepted in fullest trust and responsibility. Lastly, we ask for blessing and guidance for the work of every warrior and leader, protecting and serving our great nation. May their minds, hearts, and spirits be guarded through their exhaustive and life-giving work. Even more so, protect every precious life and heart behind the shield. In your name I pray, amen.
Oh, light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. From ancient times, armies throughout the world have conducted ceremonies to commemorate victories over enemies, honor comrades in arms, and celebrate special occasions. These ceremonies have added color and pageantry to military life while preserving tradition and stimulating esprit de corps. The Continental Army established the foundation by which our present-day ceremonies are performed, and today's ceremony is an enactment of that Army tradition. It reaffirms the concept that the Army is perpetuated on time-honored values and traditions and not on the accomplishments of individuals. So today, we will witness a small part of that tradition as the Garrison colors and command authority of the United States Army Garrison, Fort Rucker, are passed from Colonel Miller to Colonel Paulus. The change of command is a simple yet traditional event that is rich with symbolism and heritage. Key to the ceremony is the passing of the colors. These colors represent not only the lineage and honors of the command, but also the loyalty and unity of its soldiers and civilians. The colors are the commander's symbol of authority, representing his responsibilities to the organization. Wherever the commander is, there also are the colors. The custodian of the colors is the command sergeant major, who is the most senior enlisted soldier in the command and principal advisor to the commander. The passing of the Garrison colors symbolizes the transfer of authority from the outgoing commander to the incoming commander. The passing of these colors demonstrates to the soldiers and civilians of that unit that the outgoing commander has passed the mantle of leadership to the new commander. With this, also passes the loyalty of the soldiers and civilians to their new commander. By authority of Army Regulation 600-20, paragraph 2-5, the undersigned assumes command of the United States Army Garrison, Fort Rucker, effective 22 July 2025, signed Jeffrey L. Paulus, Colonel, Aviation, Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, Director, Installation Management Command, Training, Mr. Kidd.
John Miller was practicing here, so I got to adjust the mic a little bit. What a beautiful morning here in the Wiregrass region of Alabama. Major General and Mrs. Gill, or Major General Gill, General and Mrs. Cole, Mr. and Mrs. Dorr, Command Sergeant Major and Mrs. Coley, and the Paulus family, distinguished guests, particularly our Wiregrass region leaders, mayors, and everyone else that are here, this tremendous community, good morning. What a beautiful day here at Fort Rucker, Alabama. It's a great honor for me to host today's Change of Command ceremony, and what a great backdrop that we have here in this beautiful museum. This surrounds us with a history that binds us to our past and makes us strong for the future here on this beautiful museum and in this beautiful post. I have a long list, a paragraph here or two of all the great things that are associated with this region and with the post, but I think I would rather just say a little bit about what I do and then how do I know that this is the great post that it is. I am blessed in my present job to be responsible for 18 installations of the United States Army. And they go from Maine to Arizona, from New York to the West Coast, and then the entire Gulf Coast region, which is really God's country, as you know. And I travel a lot, and I see many, many installations. And in those 18, you see all of them. Some of them are not Army installations. And so you get to know an installation and what you're looking at very quickly in that as you make those visits. And it starts from the very beginning when you go in. And as you know, when you go in and you're checking your ID card as you come in the gate, usually that kind of sums up what that installation's all about. So. And it runs the gamut, you know. You have usually some inspirational words that's, you know, a motto of the organization. But also some of them, like in the Navy, it's state your business or we will fire on you. Or the Air Force, where they just kind of saunter up to your car and say, what up? Okay. Most of them are a little more, you know, focused than that. But only one tells you welcome home. Only one welcomes you back into the Army, into Army Aviation, and this community here. And it is here at Fort Rucker. You truly feel like you're part of something. And although I've been to lots of installations and had a long life in the Army, that's not as impactful on me as it is for the young soldier and family who don't know anything about the Army except that they've been welcomed in as they go here. And it is extended not just from the gate guards and the community in the Garrison, but everyone in this region totally focuses on trying to make this the best environment to produce the greatest aviators in the world. So I would like you to give yourselves a hand for what you do here. Now, some of you may have been a little disappointed in the pageantry here, and I need to stop right here and thank Command Sergeant Major Williams for putting us through that last little piece with myself and the two commanders. I can't imagine anything harder than getting a civilian and two aviators to do drill and ceremonies, but he pulled it off, though it took about 10 years of his life off. Give the Sergeant Major a big hand here. So what we witnessed, if you want the big parade, you need to come next week, and there'll be one, as we have another organization that is an Army-type unit will change command, and you'll get to see all of that pageantry with the pass and review and all of those things. But we kind of borrowed a color guard from folks, so we appreciate y'all loaning your soldiers to us to bring some extra of color to the ceremony here, and it's just really great. We don't have a field full of troops because installation management by its mission is to conserve the warfighting strength of the Army by applying the skills and the knowledge and the hard work of our civilians, our contractors, and our volunteers to create the magic that allows Fort Rucker to happen each and every day. Most of them are out there today doing their job for you. And so we were greatly proud of them all, and I would just like to give them a hand for their hard work. Now, looking out here, and many of you, it's just great to see you all. I just wish I could stay here forever, but Fort Benning calls right after this for a similar event. looking at all of you that joined us today, you get a sense of the community here, the pride in Army aviation, in the mission here at Fort Rucker, and the community that provides it, both inside and outside the gate. And we appreciate the unwavering commitment that you have for the best warfighting support on the planet right here. This is truly a special place. And that commitment brought you in here today, and I want to thank particularly the Aviation Center of Excellence and their leadership as they support tirelessly our Army garrison here at Fort Rucker. We couldn't do our job without you, and sir, thank you for your leadership and your team support to the garrison and what we do here. Now, this awesome ceremony takes a lot of hands to craft. I can't even begin to enumerate all of them, but both they're here and they're also back in the behind the scenes. But I'd like to just give them a big hand for all the great work they did. Now, we just witnessed a timeless ceremony that has been going on for thousands of years, which is the transition of two commanders publicly so that the unit will know that the mission will continue with a new leader, relinquishing the command of the previous one and then joining the command with a new leader. And I want to just take a moment to talk about a little bit about those leaders in the context of this garrison. So just a quick story, you know, usually these events for me is I come in about the day before and we kind of do some business with the two commanders and do some rehearsals and have some meetings with various folks on the garrison. And then finally that winds down to just simple things where you're just small talking to the two leaders about things. And I said, well, John, are you going to get to keep your house down there in Turkey Hollow, you know, in the housing area? And he was very happy that he was going to. And then with Jeff, he was talking about moving in and he and his family joining. And I'm very familiar with that little area that they call Turkey Hollow, where the leaders of the Aviation Center and the garrison here live. And it's a wonderful little community. And the thing that strikes you is it's so normal. You know, kids playing out in the streets and in the front yards, and people barbecuing and all of those kinds of things that you do when you're in your home and with your family. It's a semblance of normalcy. And then I'm reminded the old Army saying that, you know, our families live on earth, but if you're a soldier and a leader in the Army, you work on Mars. It's a totally different thing. Defending this nation and leading those who do is a tough, complex, and unyielding way of life. Not just a job, it's not a profession. You commit yourself totally to it. And it demands excellence in every step taken. Competence, simple competence is not enough. You got to be the best and do your best each and every day that you're in command. And the best is what this Army garrison got here at Fort Rucker with Colonel John Miller. Now, John's a very wise Army leader and a very wise commander, and don't look shocked, really. He really is. a wise commander, and he recognized that he couldn't do this alone, so he partnered with everyone in that garrison and everyone in this community to help him, and he invested in people each and every day, not just leading them, but developing them, building the processes around to help them do their jobs better and to work as a team. And all of that paid off in a whole lot of ways. They were able to adapt and thrive with some very trying circumstances, not just money, but all the other things that are challenges on a garrison. And we see that in everything that occurred. Under his leadership, this garrison has been able to pull off the impossible of actually getting military construction for a training barracks. They were able to rebuild a 10-year plan to improve the quality of life across this installation. They've got our housing getting new roofs in some of the areas, but also to recap those houses that some of you that were retired long ago remember living in those houses, and they hadn't been re-roofed since. So he did a great job there. And then building top-notch mission support to the Aviation Center and all of the associate organizations here on this installation, and partnering with our neighbors throughout the Wiregrass region to build a great community of effort here in the Wiregrass. He didn't just stop there. The telling of a good soldier, a great leader, is where they can go the extra mile when no one's looking. And so when Hurricane Helene hit and ran over Fort Eisenhower, now Fort Gordon, up there in the northern part of Georgia, or Georgia and South Carolina area, there at Augusta, and they lost power, they lost everything. And John and his team stepped up to the plate, provided them support. No one had to ask them. They just started pushing it. They picked up the comms for Fort Gordon and ran the battle, so to speak, for many days as they restored power. And so it was great. Now, I got to caveat that with that if you're in this part of Alabama, tornadoes and hurricanes is just something you do without thinking. You know how to do them. But 6 inches of snow, a very different thing indeed. But again, where it showed the Garrison organized itself on something they really had never dealt with before, but they had the strength and the drive to get things done and take care of everyone here, and did a fabulous job. And so once again, it's focusing on people, building the team. Everything changed for the better here for Rucker at Fort Rucker because of your efforts as a leader and the team that you built here. Now, every great leader can charge hard at the objective and unrelenting, but they need balance. And his spouse Molly and his daughter Emma and his son Jack provided that balance every step of the way, keeping him well connected and on azimuth. Molly, thank you for your care, compassion, and commitment to this post and this mission here, as your service as an Army spouse. And as we say in the Army, for an Army spouse, you have 2 great children and a pretty good husband, but you've embraced 10,000 sons as the leader here in this installation. So thank you so much for your efforts. John, let's give her a hand. So John, your mission is complete here, and well done for it. Your leadership has made all the difference and will be felt long after you depart this job and go to your next one. And we wish you and your family the best as you head over across post to yet another important job at the Combat Readiness Center. I can't think of a better leader to be in that role. Thank you. Now, we warmly welcome Colonel Jeff Paulus and his wife Erin and their daughters Evelyn, and I'm told to say Josephine today, join the MCOM team in the helm of the Garrison here at Fort Rucker, Alabama. Now, Colonel Paulus is a highly experienced aviation leader who has served in demanding tactical and strategic roles all over the world, and most lately in a foreign country called the National Capital Region, where he was the key leader in the Joint Task Force there that protects our government each and every day there. I'm confident that you, Jeff, that you're going to do a great job in this job and in this command and lead it extremely well. But I just, and I hope the chaplain doesn't mind, I'm just going to give you 3 points, if I would, please, because we are in Alabama and you have to have 3 points. The first is that installation management is a team sport. You can't do it alone. You're going to have to partner with everyone here to get your job done. Second, there's never enough resources, money, manpower, material, or time to get everything that you want done. What makes the difference and closes that gap is the investment that you put in your team and the people that serve it. So do that. Invest deeply in them and lead wisely. And lastly, this garrison has a lot of talented people. It's just amazing what you're going to find in the talent here. But you only have one that has commander in the job title, and that's you. So lead well. And Sir, General Gill, if you don't mind, I know that I don't command anyone on this installation, but if you would, I'd like to give 2 tasks to everybody here. The first one is join me in welcoming Colonel Paulus and extending your full support to him and his family and his effort as the garrison commander here. He can't do it alone. He needs every one of you. And then the second, before you head out of here back to your business, reach out to someone in this garrison and thank them for the service they provide you and this installation. Don't wait till tomorrow because you don't have tomorrow. Do it today. You'll feel a lot better about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, really an honor to be back here at Fort Rucker and to see you all today. I thank you for the tremendous support you give to our Army, to our nation, and God bless that Army and this great nation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Miller.
Okay, well, before I get started here, just a couple of thanks. There are some very special people that made today's ceremony the fantastic event that it is. So I'd like to, everybody, just to give a round of applause to Leanne Dukes and the protocol team, Jeff Birch and the DPTMS ceremonies team, and of course, Master Sergeant Bray and his wonderful rendition of the national anthem. Thank you to our guests that may have traveled a long ways, to my mom Cheryl for coming in from Iowa, and for a lot of the task force team who have graced us today. So Lieutenant Colonel Ashley Christian, her mom Deb, CW4, Bobby S. Garcia, and Brenna, thank you very much for coming down. All right, now to the real speech. So, Major General Gill, Mr. and Mrs. Kidd, Mr. and Mrs. Dorr, Mrs. Cole, Brigadier General Boudritis, Command Sergeant Major and Mrs. Coley, Wiregrass community leaders and mayors, fellow commanders and directors, garrison teammates, friends and family, good morning, and thank you for blessing us with your presence as we pay tribute to this absolutely amazing Fort Rucker Garrison team. Major General Gill, thank you for your leadership, mentorship, and guidance over the past year. Thank you for all the opportunities you gave to me and to the Garrison team to serve this community. Fort Rucker is a magical place. It's a place where dreams come true. It's a community singularly focused on creating the next generation of aviation warfighters. While the installation has evolved over the years, and while we acknowledge that change is inevitable, there remains one constant here, and that's the Garrison team. A group of award-winning professionals who are charged with creating the environment that allows future aviation warfighters to train and their families to grow. Their singular motivation is to serve the soldiers, civilians, and families of Fort Rucker, and they do effectively because they don't know how to do average. They only know how to do extraordinary. Please indulge me for a few moments while I recognize this team and tell you a few things about what they do for our community. DPTMS, the Garrison S3 shop, led by Sean Sparks, has been at the forefront of leading change for the Army. When the Chief of Staff of the Army wanted to solve problems associated with counter-UAS operations, he called on the Fort Rucker Garrison team to execute Exercise Quantum Eagle. The lessons learned from this exercise influenced policy adjustments at the highest levels and positively impacted installation operations across the force. The team didn't stop there. Instead, they've been playing a key role in the development and execution of the emerging UAS lethality course. DPTMS keeps their eyes on the horizon, and they make sure Fort Rucker is always ready to train the next generation of warfighters. The Directorate of Public Safety is a humble organization, so you probably wouldn't know that they were recognized as the best Directorate of Emergency Services in the United States Army, receiving the Sergeant Major Ward L. Turner Award. Lieutenant Colonel Birch and his team have one of the most difficult tasks on the installation to ensure that 20,000 soldiers, civilians, and families that live and work here are safe and secure every day. They welcome us home at the gates each day, and they play a key role in making our community great. One of the best compliments that the DPW team receives is when a former branch chief or branch sergeant major returns to the installation and says, "The post is looking great." managing $100 million construction projects, or simply smiling when the HVAC is working in all the buildings on a hot July day, Jonathan Cole and his DPW team are always moving in 1,000 directions to make sure Fort Rucker has the absolute best possible facilities. I'm immensely proud of the Directorate of Human Resources led by Thais Scott and their positive impact on every Fort Rucker soldier, civilian, and family member. Whether you're just arriving to Fort Rucker for the first time or you've reached the pinnacle of your career and are ready to become a soldier for life, the DHR team makes sure that everyone is handled with care. Then there's the Fun Directorate. I mean, who hasn't enjoyed an event planned, resourced, and executed by the MWR team led by Savory Morka-Kirkin? That's a tough name to say. I can't begin to explain the impact this team makes on your quality of life. From child and youth services to physical fitness, Big Mike's Lake Falaco, the largest Freedom Fest ever, at least 75,000, right, sir? Who knows? I could simply go on and on. MWR makes our post exceptional, and I can't thank the MWR team enough for welcoming everyone to our post and making them feel at home. Now there's some smaller offices maybe you haven't heard of, but they're playing a key role in our Army, like the Equal Employment Opportunity Team led by Mr. Craig Tuttle, who ensures that civilian employees have a welcoming workplace. Setting the standard for the entire Army, the Fort Rucker EEO is leading efforts at the enterprise level to revise and develop EEO training curriculum that is taught to the entire United States Army. Behind the scenes, the Manpower team led by Marilyn Jackson, the Budget team led by Shirley Deese, Internal Revenue with Ms. Netta Wiley, the Garrison Safety team led by Becky Ghostley, and the PAIO team led by Jamie Baker, each played a critical role in ensuring the success of the Garrison and Fort Rucker. You know, earlier in my career, CYA meant something different than it does now. In Garrison life, CYA means consult your attorney. And there was hardly a single action that crossed my desk or needed my signature that wasn't reviewed by Mr. David Natvig and his team of attorneys. Thank you for your attention to detail, your counsel, and your desire to always take care of our community. The Religious Support Office, led by then Chaplain Scott Kennis and now Chaplain Mike Johnson, nurtures everyone's spiritual needs. Over the past 2 years, the RSO has expanded services and grown the church-going community by hundreds of parishioners, reestablished the Vacation Bible School, expanded opportunities through events like Tuesday Night Connect. But most importantly, though, they were there in our times of need, always ready to ease others' burdens and to care for our community. Telling the story of Fort Rucker can be a daunting task, and I've been surrounded by telling the story of Fort Rucker for a long time. But thanks to Leslie Hurlick, Drew Hamilton, and the Public Affairs team, the whole world knows that great things are happening on our post. And thanks to Chris Mendez and his Department of the Army recognized Best Community Relations Program, our Wiregrass citizens are more connected to Fort Rucker than ever. Synchronizing it all are a couple of leaders who are deserving of recognition. The Deputy Garrison Commander, Mr. John Watson, and the Garrison Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Gary Williams, are without peer. They both attack the complex problems we get handed daily head on and find innovative and creative solutions to meet the needs of our team, the installation, and the community with a personal touch. Gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to watch you excel. Let's give a round of applause to the Garrison team. So as Mr. Kidd mentioned, welcome home, the phrase that greets everyone who comes through our gates each day. And I'll tell you, I'm so proud that our aviation families get to call Fort Rucker their home, and I remember fondly when my family got the opportunity to do the same. In 2010, my son Jack came home to Fort Rucker in 15 Brady Lane in Munson Heights after a short trip from Flowers Hospital. Now a sophomore at Carroll High School in Ozark, I am impressed every day by his drive and persistence as he grows and flourishes in what is truly his hometown. 3 years earlier, in 2007, my daughter Emma, at the ripe old age of 20 months, arrived home to Fort Rucker from Texas. Meeting new friends at the Child Development Center, learning the wrong words to high above the best, running around the streets of Munson Heights at a level in accordance with the child supervision policies of the installation, and somehow climbing on board the bus to the Fort Rucker Primary School. I loved watching your early years here. Now a junior at Baylor University with aspirations to be a doctor, I've had the time of my life watching you fight all the dragons. And can't wait to see all the mountains you'll move. So the fall of 2000 was when Molly and I first came home to Fort Rucker. And as we drove through the gates with my wife of 1 month, and we started our Army life here together, little did we know then where it would bring us to today. During our flight school times, our love of Fort Rucker grew, and through Molly and her service on the Fort Rucker Army Flyer staff, we found a home in the Garrison. And it was only fitting that we got the opportunity to serve this post in the Garrison team one more time. So, Molly, thank you for being an amazing partner on this journey. Thank you for being my safe space on the tough days and for challenging me every day to be the best possible self. Thank you for being my secret shopper and helping me see this community and serve it better. Thank you for your front row energy that made everyone feel welcome, reminded us to enjoy everything this journey has to offer, and made every event, costume required or not, an absolute blast. The light you bring to this world is endless, and I can't thank you enough for being you and for being mine. So, I can't really explain to you how exciting this assignment has been for me. I had the opportunity to make a daily impact on our post and make impacts that won't come to fruition for years to come. That's simply how the Garrison world works. I'm excited for Colonel Jeff Paulus and his wife Erin and their daughters Evelyn and Josephine as they now have the same opportunities. I promise you'll have a great time. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time to close. We are so lucky to live in these times, surrounded by the wonderful people of our military and Wiregrass communities right here on beautiful Fort Rucker. Blessings abound, our future is bright, and with that in mind, I will leave you simply yet sincerely and just say thank you. Above the best, Fly Army, welcome home.
Ladies and gentlemen, new Garrison Commander, United States Army Garrison Fort Rucker, Colonel Paulus.
Well, John, that's a tough one to follow, but first of all, let me just say thank you to both you and Molly for the warm welcome that you have shown Erin and the girls and I as we have finally come back home. And I would echo your comments to the team, Sergeant Major, Master Sergeant Bray, for putting on this ceremony today. It has been spectacular, so thank you all very, very much. General Gill, Mr. Kidd, Mr. Schmitz, elected officials, senior leaders, and Fort Rucker community leaders and friends, thank you all for coming today. Most especially, I have to start by thanking my ladies, my wife Erin, and my daughters Evelyn and Josephine. Erin, I've said this more times than I can count by now, but I could not do this. It would not be here today without you. You continue to gift me with your wisdom, with your insight, and with your perspective, and I will need them all now more than ever as we embark on this journey for which I am wholly ill-prepared. Thank you, 1,000 times thank you, for your patience, for your love, and for your sacrifice. I love you. And girlies, you two are my delight and my joy. Seeing you every day is the best part of it. I love you both more than I can ever say, and I cannot wait to watch you both grow and blossom here in the next 2 years. To my friends from out of town, Mark, Liz, and Erin, thank you all for being here. I know you're all busy, and your presence here means so much to both Erin and I. And finally, to the members of the Fort Rucker community, thank you for welcoming the Paulus family home, and it is good to be home. I remember driving onto this post for the first time 23 years ago, full of excitement, anxiety, and no small bit of wonder at where exactly I had found myself. Since Second Lieutenant Paulus stepped foot onto Fort Rucker, I've had the privilege of coming back here 3 additional times. And every time, I've been reminded a little bit more about what makes this place special. General Gill spoke about it last week at the renaming ceremony. Mr. Kidd just spoke about it, and John just put it more eloquently than I. But as the home of Army Aviation, the ties that bind our branch and the Wiregrass community are stronger here than in any other military community in which I've served. And the presence of so many community members and leaders here this morning just reinforces that fact. Assignment to Fort Rucker sets the tone for every soldier, warrant officer, and officer who have the privilege of serving in Army Aviation. And we all take that sense of community that we get here and bring it in to our next assignments. Army Aviation is strong because the Fort Rucker community is strong. It is my privilege and my honor to serve as the next Garrison Commander and to continue the tradition of service to this special community that my predecessors have set. I look forward to working with and for all of you as we continue to make the Fort Rucker community an amazing place to call home. God bless the United States Army. God bless Army Aviation. Above the best, fly Army, AirCav.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the departure of the colors. Remain standing for singing of Above the Best and the Army Song. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Director, Installation Management Command Training, and the Garrison Commander, United States Army Garrison Fort Rucker, we thank you for your attendance today. You're invited to bid farewell to Colonel and Mrs. Miller in front of the stage, and welcome Colonel and Dr. Paulus to the rear of the seating area. Thank you for attending today.